All right, so I have my chicken all rinsed off, ready to be sliced and diced. And you can see how much easier this is with this big chef's knife than it would be with that little paring knife that I used in the previous lesson. Now you could cook these chicken breasts whole in the skillet, but I'm gonna do kind of a saute dish tonight, so I'm going to dice it up. Now I cut up all the vegetables that I'm going to use last night, so I don't need to worry about having to wash my cutting board in between cutting the chicken and the vegetables. Generally, if I have to cut them all at once, I'll do the vegetables first, set them aside, then do the chicken last, so I don't have to stop in the middle of my preparations and wash things. Although washing as you go is a very useful technique, and one of these days I'll do a bonus class about techniques and strategies for keeping things clean as you go. All right, I've got everything ready. Here's my skillet. Got some crumbs in it. So I'm gonna put a little bit of oil in the bottom, which helps keep things from sticking. If you have a non-stick pan, you can probably get by without that. Turn the stove on here. And I usually use high or medium high heat, but then I'm fairly impatient with cook times. This stove heats up really quickly, so that's nice and helps with my impatience. I've got, as you can see, I have my vegetables, my cut up peppers and broccoli. I've got my spices over here ready. I have some onions that I cut up a while back and put in the freezer, so they're kind of soggy and wet. I'm going to be sure to put them in the oil before it gets too terribly hot, because if you put that water in to hot oil, you get really impressive flames. And this is definitely the voice of experience speaking. All right, my oil's starting to get a little warm, so I'm going to add my onions and that water so I don't get the flames. Kind of stir it around with the heat-proof silicone spatula. These onions are already soft because they've been in the freezer. Normally you would cook them, if they were fresh, you would cook them until they start to soften a little bit. What I'm going to do here is cook them until the water boils off a little bit and they're thoroughly warmed. All right, most of the water has boiled off of the onions. The peppers aren't in there and they're just starting to cook, but I'm going to go ahead and add the chicken because I don't want to get them too overcooked. Stir that around. I'll let it cook a little bit, and then I'm gonna stir it every few minutes. It doesn't need to be stirred constantly. That just kind of wears the food out. But I'll let it sit there and cook for a minute or two. So the chicken's starting to turn white on that side, so I'm gonna stir it around, turn it over so the other side can cook. right, I'm gonna give it another stir. And while I am waiting on the chicken to cook, I sliced up the tomatoes and I'm washing things as we go, throwing away the trash, keeping things tidy. One of the first cookbooks that I got when I started trying to learn how to cook, teach myself, what was it was about 30-minute suppers and how to cook things quickly when you first get home and just get food on the table. At this point, it's time to start adding salt and pepper and my spices. Anyway, in this cookbook, one of the instructions for how to get a meal on the table in a reasonable amount of time is to just plan on, once you start, keep moving until everything was done. And if, you know, do the parts of the prep while you're waiting for something to cook or be in the microwave or whatever you're using. Just put the oregano in. I'm adding a little bit of tarragon. And you really have to experiment with the spices. This is rosemary, which is not my favorite flavor, but in combination with other things, it will add a lot of depth to our meal. This is oregano. No, this one was basil. I told you wrong. Got the names mixed up. Okay, and this is looking pretty good. The chicken is mostly cooked on the outside. I don't think it's cooked on the inside yet because it's kind of tough. When meat gets done, it starts being pretty easy to tear it apart. That piece went pretty good, so it's getting close.